Hey y'all, Marietta here. I had to come back again because I was just had something on my mind that I really needed to talk about tonight. And what I needed to talk about was the fact of how people are saying that people that live on Section 8 always destroy the property, tear people's homes up. And they have said this a lot that I've heard over the years that a lot of landlords don't want to rent to their units to Section 8 because Section 8 has a tendency, people that live on Section 8 have a tendency of tearing up the units when they get in them, which this is, God knows this is not always true. It is not always true. For those of y'all that are just joining for the very first time, welcome. I truly appreciate you being here. I pray that you subscribe. I'm also on a journey to get 10,000 subscribers, and I pray that you help me reach that goal. And for all of y'all that are returning subscribers, that are here to hear what your girl got to say, I really appreciate you. I thank God for you. Y'all are really doing the dang thing when it comes to helping me build this channel. But with that being said, I just want to clear up some things. I have lived on Section 8 housing before. And when I lived on Section 8 housing, I had a good experience with Section 8 housing. And when we lived in Section 8 housing, we got the same self-respect, same dignity as anybody else. We like for our units to be nice. We like for our units to be clean. We like for our units to be as beautiful as anybody else, well-dressed and everything. And a lot of times when we hear people say they don't want to rent the people that have to rent under Section 8. Let me get y'all to understand something. Sometimes when people are renting under Section 8, it's not that they're all bad people. You do have your bad apples that come through every bunch that would destroy a unit. Those that do that type of stuff do make it bad for other people. They leave a bad name for others that's trying to live right, those that are trying to do right, those that actually need to be on Section 8 while they work their way up out of Section 8. Because when people actually do want to take care of those units and they leave the landlord's unit nice and clean the way they found it when they moved in, it's because they have that dignity and that self-respect for themselves. They did not come to tear that unit up or to disgrace the neighborhood or to break up anything or have their yards looking a mess, or none of that. So they came because of the fact that they did not have enough money to go out there and rent a place at market rent, like right now, the way market rents are expensive right now. So they will use Section 8 as a way of being there until they can get up on their feet. Unfortunately, we do have some that get on the Section 8 program and they just stay there because of the fact that they feel as though it's easier for them to stay there. So they just stay in that unit and they stay there forever. Or they get in a place where they do leave and they feel like, oh, it's just Section 8. Let me just leave it any kind of way. But it makes it bad because everybody is not doing that. And landlords are now to a place where they feel as though the Section 8 people are lazy. They feel like they're not interested in nothing. They feel like they got too many kids. They're single mothers. They tear the house up. They leave it destroyed. They just leave it dirty and filthy. And God knows that is not always the case. So I think everybody needs to be evaluated on an individual basis. And you do your homework, and before you rent to them, you actually talk to other landlords or other places they have been and let them fill out that paperwork. And a lot of the landlords, some of them just rent to them anyway because of the fact that they know that they're going to get that money from Section 8 because they know that that's an easy way for them to get paid. So they don't do their homework, and then they're out here complaining because they know Section 8 is going to pay for that person to be in that unit, which at that point they already knew that they were not the right type of people. They already knew that they did not have no work ethics whatsoever, because 9 times 10, even when you go into Section 8, you still have to pay a portion of that rent when you have a job. But if they're going into it with no job whatsoever and they don't pay nothing, or even if they're paying, back in the day when I used to be on Section 8, I also paid just about half of what market rent was. And then it got to a place where I was still in Section 8 and I was paying market rent. So that's because I had that work ethic and I was trying to work my way up off of Section 8 because I knew I wanted to be on my own, because I didn't want nobody telling me what to do. And I wanted to be able to be a homeowner at one point and be able to buy my own home and things of that nature. So I was one of the ones that made sure that I tried to keep my credit up. I worked up. And when I left that unit, I had pride in the way I left that unit. I wanted that unit to be in a way that when somebody did a credit check on me, that there was no blemishes on my credit about me leaving a unit dirty or leaving a unit without paying or any of that nature. So you got to do your homework as landlords and know who you putting in your units, and don't just put anybody in them so that you can get paid. Because a lot of you landlords out there are just putting people in these Section 8 units because you know Section 8 will pay you. Then after your unit gets destroyed, then all of a sudden it's on the tenant. It's the tenant's fault. It's the tenant's fault. It's the tenant's fault. And you're not doing your inspections, or you may be a slumlord and they feel as though that you're not fixing nothing, so they don't care less. It gives each other a bad rep, in other words, is what I'm trying to say. But when you got good tenants and you got good landlords and you got people that really care, you may find one or two that may override that, and they may not have been taught how to clean up. They may not have been taught how to pay bills. They may not have been taught or maybe lived in a place that was decent themselves. And some people suffer from anxiety and stress and depression, which would tear up a whole house all by itself. And they're not happy unless they're living in chaos. So sometimes there's a medical reason why people live like that. When you got hoarders and they're in hoarder status, they may get into your unit and they may become hoarders. And if the landlord is doing their inspection on a regular basis and they're keeping that place up themselves, they should be able to see this when they do their inspection, so that they then at that time should be able to have something in place in writing where they can act accordingly and begin to clear out that unit before it gets to a place where it is actually destroyed. But a lot of times, unfortunately, they'll leave them there in them units so that Section 8 can pay them and they can keep that money, because it's better to have somebody in that unit than to have that unit empty. I know exactly what I'm talking about because I've witnessed it so many times over the years. And a lot of times good tenants such as myself that was on Section 8 back then, because I'm 65 now, I'm no longer on Section 8, so don't come for me in the comments talking about, well, you too old to be on Section 8, because this is years ago when I was in my younger 20 years when I needed Section 8, when I was standing on my feet trying to find my way. But as I got grown, as I got older and I began to find my way, I began to be a homeowner and I begin to take pride in everything I do. So, but in the defense of my brothers and my sisters that may be out there on Section 8, that may need Section 8 at this time, there's also so many reasons why things happen when they're on Section 8. And the reason why they may be going through financially, they may not have the money to buy the cleaning things that they need. This is why the landlords need to stay up on top of their own property and make sure that these properties are well kept, and make sure that these properties, because you got so many slum landlords, but not too many people want to talk about that. But that is also another topic, another subject that I have also witnessed, because when you've lived as long as I've lived, you have seen quite a bit of things, and you can have a lot of topics to talk about, such as this Section 8 situation, about the fact that people saying that people don't rent the people, landlords don't like to rent the people on Section 8 because Section 8 folks always leave the units tore up and completely raggedy and broke down and things of this nature. Well, I come to tell you that's not always the case. That is not always the case. Section 8 has been a blessing to so many people. There are so many people on the Section 8 program now that if you walk in their unit is spotless. If you walk in their unit, they're proud of their unit. They're proud of what they accomplished. Even if they cannot afford to pay market rent, what they're paying and how they afford to pay, and it gives them some sort of dignity and self-respect that they like their unit. And some of their landlords are also respectful and decent when they walk in, and they make sure that they inspect that unit. They ask the tenants or anything that need to be fixed. Tenants are writing up maintenance reports early so that the maintenance can be done on these units, and so that the landlord and the tenant have a good relationship so that they can stay on top of what needs to be done as it needs to be done. And they also make sure that they stay in contact with their Section 8 office and talk to the people in the office about anything that they need or what's happening in that unit, or if the landlord is not keeping the unit up, they also can report that to the Section 8 office themselves, because Section 8 does not pay for units that are not well kept or that are not broke down or whatever. And I believe that when you're on Section 8, y'all quote me, don't quote me on this, but I really believe that Section 8 also does their own inspection as well. So they will come in and inspect that unit. They will also make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, especially if you have a part that you have to pay. And if they're paying you a certain amount of money to keep your lights on, and you're not using the part that they give you to keep your lights on, and that tenant landlord starts reporting that your lights are off all the time, you don't have no heat, for some reason you're not keeping up with your part of the bargain when you sign that lease or whatever it is that you're supposed to pay, Section 8 may also give you sometimes a utility allowance where they'll help you with the utilities, but they may not pay at all. And then there's cases where they pay at all and you just live there and you may not be paying nothing. But the minute you get a job, which handicap some people, because some people won't get no job because of the fact that they don't want to have to pay nothing. Why would I get a job and pay something if I can live here totally scot-free? But if I get a job, now you're going to take the very money that I wouldn't work for to put into paying rent that you're clearly paying for me for nothing. And that sometimes that concept and that perspective has caused people to stay on Section 8 a lot longer than they should have. Fact being known, and this is what I know, at 65 years old, when I go home to visit after all these years, sometimes I go back to just to look at the place where I stayed when I was in my 20s. And some of the same women I see that were there when I was 20 years old are still there, never left. Now that's the problem. They're not disabled. They're not handicapped. They've never, they may be a little disabled now at 60 some years old, but to be there all them years because they said that they were not leaving the Section 8 program because of the fact that it was cheaper for them to stay there all their life. So therefore, to me, when I see stuff and I hear stuff like that, they have used it as a way of handicapping themselves into believing that they would never be nothing. They would never be no better. They never live no better. So they decided that that's the way they're going to live because it was free. It was on the system. I didn't have to pay nothing. So I'm going to sit right here. I'm not going to get no job because why would I get a job and start paying for what I'm clearly getting for free? So you do got some that would do this on this Section 8 program, and they will use the Section 8 program for years and years and years. And some of them will be going to their grave from being young in their young years and stayed on Section 8 until they got in their old years, and they will go to their grave right from that Section 8 very same unit that they started in when they was 20 or 18 or 19 when they started having kids years ago. Kids are grown, going on with their life, and mom is still, their dad is still right there in that same Section 8 house. So Section 8, but they keep the house up, but they're paying their $20 or $30 or $16, whatever they were supposed to pay. But unfortunately, situations like that will cause people to feel like everybody's like that, but everybody's not like that. Everybody's not like that. Some people have used Section 8 for when they needed it, and when they, such as myself, when I didn't need it no more, when I got completely grown, because I don't care what nobody says, coming out of your mother and father's house at 20 and 18, you're still not grown. I still had a lot to learn. But once I learned and I got grown and started standing on my own 2 feet, I knew that I needed to get a job. I understood the assignment that I was only there as a resting place. But when I left that Section 8 house, I left it with good standards. I took my walkthrough right with them and let them see how well I took my time and cleaned that oven and cleaned that bathroom, mopped them floors, made sure that my windowsills was clean, wiped that place down really good, sprayed some air freshener in it, and left it in beautiful standards for the next tenant to walk right on in it. They wouldn't have to do nothing but go on in there and set their house up. But that's how you do when you appreciate when somebody gives you that break. They give you that chance. They allowed you to be there so that you can get up on your feet. So I was able to go to work and start making enough money so that I could move on. And I thank God that I was able to move on. Into the grace of God, I never had to look back. God carried me from that point. Why? Because I had a will to do. And so many people are out here with that will to do that have left Section 8 and have done well. Section 8 today are helping people buy homes. So there's nothing wrong with the Section 8 program as long as you allow the program to be able to help you to stand, to be able to help you get independent, to be able to work with the program as they work with you so you be able to stand on your feet. So we're not going to have the landlords out here saying that everybody that gets on Section 8 leaves their units tore up, leaves their units dirty or filthy or raggedy, or don't rent to people on Section 8 because they have a tendency of tearing your units up. That's a stigmatism that we have to break, because everybody's not like that. Everybody's not out here to tear. Some people really need to use Section 8 until they're able to get up on their feet. So I really believe that this message here, if you believe what I'm saying, if you've had this experience or you've heard this saying that not to rent the Section 8 because Section 8 folks would tear your house up, and you understand that everybody's not like that, or you know situations that maybe some people have done that, but you also know situations where people have left the units beautiful, left them clean, had some respect for them. And if you had a good landlord, drop it in the comments. Let's get to talking about it. Let's let people know that Section 8 is not a bad place. It's not a bad place for you to go when you really need help and you really need to be able to live there until you can stand on your own 2 feet. And if you're in Section 8 and you work your way up to paying market rent and you can't go nowhere because right now the rents are too high, but you're paying market when you at. My salute to you. I salute you 100%. 100%, because it takes a lot to be able to go to work and feel that self-dignity, that self-respect that you get when you're paying your own way. And you don't have to let nobody tell you exactly what you need to be doing and how you need to be doing it. You've taken the initiative. Congratulations, congratulations, because I know for a fact, because I've been there and done that. I know it takes a lot for you to get out there and let go of what could be familiar, or what you could be lazy and just sit there and suck up this system. But yet and still, you had more in you. You had more drive in you. There was something else you wanted out of life. There was someplace else you had to go and you had to get there. So I thank God for you having that drive. If you're out there and you've lived on Section 8 and you understand how it works and you understand the rules and regulations, and you've been through something with these landlords, as well as you have been something and you carried them through something, feel free to write your comments. Let's talk about it. Let's get us conversation going, because it would be really nice to break this stigma that every tenant on Section 8 leaves the place a mess. Let's break that right now, because that's not true and it's not so. So if you're a landlord out there and you are afraid to rent the Section 8 because you feel as though you've heard that Section 8 people would tear your unit up, every person is not like that. If you do your homework and you keep your unit up and you do your inspections, you will find that every person you rent to is not renting your unit to tear it up. Some of them are grateful, and thank you for giving us that opportunity. Be blessed. Y'all have a blessed rest of your night.